If you're looking to buy a short-term rental here in Breckenridge, Colorado, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to give you the ultimate guide on navigating short-term rentals here in Breck. We're going to look at different zones and where you can get a short-term rental license. We're going to look at areas outside of Breckenridge and in Summit County. And by the end of the video, I'm going to share my experience of owning and renting a property here in Summit County. Hi guys, my name is Anthony Soul. I am a local real estate agent here in Colorado with Live Sotheby's International Realty, and I own a bunch of short-term rentals myself, one in Breckenridge, one in Keystone. So I very much understand the nuances of owning short-term rentals and what it takes to buy one, and all the nuances of which areas will allow short-term rentals, which will not. Again, it's very nuanced. There's no rhyme or reason to any of what the town decided was going to be short-term rentals and what was not going to be short-term rentals. So I'm going to walk you through how it all works. So we're going to look here. I'm going to be on my laptop kind of drawing out how you can navigate where to look for these ordinances. And then you can also see the maps of different areas. So you know, next time you're looking at Zillow, or if you're on a property search with me on the MLS, you'll be able to navigate, oh, this property can get a short-term rental license, or this one cannot get a short-term rental license. So let's get into it. So first things first, we want to head to summitrealtors.org. So you can see I've got it highlighted right there for you. And you're going to be drawn to this page. We are technically Altitude Realtors now, but minor details. We're going to scroll down a little bit and we're going to look for short-term rental regulations off to the right. We're going to click that. That is going to bring us to this page here, short-term rental regulations. And you basically have all of your short-term regulation links here on this page, starting with an overview of Summit County. So we've got, okay, first, Blue River. Short-term rentals allowed in the town of Blue River. So as long as you're in town proper there, no need to worry. We'll get to more of that. I want to focus first on Breckenridge short-term rentals because that is the main town that we have here in Summit County, and most of my audience is primarily looking in Breckenridge, and then from Breckenridge we will expand outward into the rest of the county so you can understand how all of the short-term rental rules work. So we have got on this first tab here, general info on STR policies, licensing, taxes, and fees, STR ordinances. So this one's a great one here. If you click on this first one for policies, licenses, taxes, fees, you're going to be taken to this page right here. So this kind of defines what a short-term rental property is, defined as a residential dwelling unit or any room therein available for lease for a term of less than 30 consecutive days. So if it's more than 30 consecutive days, you do not need a short-term rental license, and you can rent your property mid-term to long-term. And to be honest, we're seeing a lot of those starting to pop up here in Breckenridge, which might be a great investment opportunity. We're seeing homes in Shock Hill rent for $50,000 to $80,000 a month. And there's a huge gap from the low thousands to high tens of thousands, kind of that $6,000 to $15,000 a month range. There's not really a lot of inventory for. We get a lot of remote people, either remote workers or families who can basically travel at their leisure, and they're looking for places to stay on a midterm basis. So think 1 to 3 months at a time. And then if you couple that with a lower management fee, usually a short-term rental management fee is about 25%. Long-term management fee is about 5 to 10%. So you could actually end up netting close to the same amount of money doing a midterm rental. But for the short-term rentals, less than 30 consecutive days, then it kind of gives you an overview of all of the different fees that are associated with getting a short-term rental. And then you've also, if you go back to the short-term rental page off of the Summit Realtors website, you've got a couple of other things here for Breckenridge, but we're going to focus here on the map of STR areas so we can kind of show you guys exactly what's going on here. So if you're looking at this map, this blue area here, well, this is a map of Breckenridge, right? So this blue area here inside the town borderlines, this blue area is zone 3. designated as a neighborhood zone, meaning that the town felt that these neighborhoods were better suited for long-term renters or full-time homeowners, even though most of these homeowners are second homeowners. Again, no rhyme or reason to it, but this blue zone right now, you cannot get a short-term rental license. Or rather, the license cap is so far above the amount of licenses that they're allowing in this zone that it's going to take anywhere from 10 to maybe even 30 years for you to actually be able to get a license in that zone. So when you're looking at a map of Breckenridge and you're following Highway 9 here, you can see as my cursor is kind of going over here, this is the main highway coming in to Breckenridge. And most of this is not able to get a short-term rental license, unfortunately. Everything in the white here outside of the blue area, this is going to be unincorporated Summit County. They have their own rules, which we'll get into shortly. But then as we go down into Main Street here, we'll kind of zoom in so you guys can see. This is Main Street, Breckenridge, if you're following my cursor here. And so we've got a couple of different options for zones here. This pink zone right here is zone 2, just on the east side of Main Street. And so zone 2 only has a few licenses over the cap right now. So I imagine within the next 1 to 3 years, you actually might be able to get a short-term rental license in that zone through resale of properties. And then we move into the green and yellow zones. The green zone is zone 1. This is a zone that the town has deemed acceptable for short-term rentals. These are condo complexes with amenities like clubhouse, hot tub, close to downtown, close to a chairlift. So kind of more intended for short-term rentals. So right now, I think we're about 300 licenses under the cap that the town has set. So you can get a short-term rental license in this green zone. And you can see as I zoom out, this green zone kind of encompasses a decent area here. So you're mostly on the west side of Main Street, kind of going up 4 o'clock ski run, which is this little dotted line right here. And so most of this is going to be short-term rentable. And then if you go up into the 4 o'clock run single family neighborhood area, you'll notice that there's a small little section of single family homes that can get a short-term rental license. And then some areas up here, which this kind of doesn't really make sense to me, this area. These are timeshares right now. So I think these have been grandfathered in already. So they're always gonna be able to get short-term rental licenses. But then we've got the yellow zones, right? And these yellow zones are what the town has called the resort zone. Now these are basically condos with hotel-like amenities. So 24/7 security, shuttles, valet services, on-site management 24/7. So really more like a hotel than a condo, but you can still buy full ownership condos in these yellow zones. And these are unrestricted indefinitely. So these are always be able to get a short-term rental license. These are buildings like Blue Sky at Breckenridge, the Beaver Run Resort, the Village at Breckenridge, right next to the Quicksilver chairlift. And then if we head over more west up Ski Hill Road, we've got One Ski Hill Place, Crystal Peak Lodge, and then eventually just beside Peak 8 here, where the current administrator building is for Vail Resorts, there's going to be another hotel condominium style building there. So you'll be able to get a short-term rental license there as well. And then I'll show you guys a little pro tip here. Something that not a lot of people know about quite yet, but right here is the gondola. And so underneath this gondola line here is a small little parking lot, and there is already approval for 16 townhome style units, and those are likely to be able to get a short-term rental license. It hasn't been set in stone yet, but my guess is, being right across the street from the gondola, that they're going to be allowed to get short-term rental licenses, but we'll see. Either way, you can get yourself brand new construction in Breckenridge, which is nearly impossible to find because most of our land has been built on already. So that's kind of the town of Breckenridge. And what you can expect for short-term rentals. I understand if it may be very confusing, but that's why you can rely on me. It's no bother at all. Feel free to text me with any questions that you might have, and I'll answer with a video, or call me and I will pick up the phone and we can talk about all this together. We can do a Zoom call or a Google Meet call, and I can kind of go through all of the nuances here, because it's very confusing, and if you're not studying it every day like I am, you're going to be totally lost. So I'm happy to help you on that front. And that's pretty much what the town of Breckenridge looks like. So now let's look outside of the town of Breckenridge and see what else Summit County has to offer for short-term rentals. So outside of Breckenridge, first we'll talk about the town of Blue River, since it's the first one listed here on the Summit Realtors short-term regulation page. So if you click here, you can see you've got everything you need to apply for a license, knowing the rules, lodging tax, good neighbor guidelines, etc. And again, if you're in town of Blue River proper, you are able to get a short-term rental license completely unrestricted, which is great. Now back to the Summit Realtors page, we'll scroll down past Blue River, past Breckenridge, and then we'll go to the town of Dillon. So the town of Dillon, again, is completely unrestricted, very similar to Blue River. And so you got all of your regulations here, but as long as you're in town, Dillon proper, which pretty small, not too many properties there. If you do buy there though, you can get a short-term rental license. Another upcoming project in the town of Dillon that you should know about that is already approved and they're starting to make headway on it is the Water View at Dillon, formerly Uptown 240. Jake Port, the developer, bought the property at bank auction, and the town of Dillon has loaned them $1 million in hopes that they can get this project completed. So they've basically started to tear down the old building structure that was originally started in 2019. Because of the old building codes, they had to go ahead and tear that down, and they're planning to break ground, I believe, in either end of December or early January, and they're going to start releasing units for sale, I think around the springtime. There's going to be 80 residential units right next door to the Homewood Suites, and have some great views of Lake Dillon, the 10-mile mountain range, the core mountain range, and you're going to be right in Dillon Town Center, which is great because you are walking distance to the amphitheater, to the lake, to the marina, to get some boat rentals, everything that Dillon has to offer. So keep your eyes out for that one. Water View is going to be a great little project, and you can get a short-term rental license so you can start generating revenue right out the gate. Okay, back to the page. We'll scroll past Dillon, and now we've got Frisco short-term rentals. And as you can see here, Frisco has a maximum of 900 STR licenses, and there is currently a wait list. So in the town of Frisco proper, you can get a short-term rental license, but in order to know how long that wait list is, you want to contact Sarah Schwartz, who's the short-term rental and housing specialist at the town of Frisco, and she'll be able to update you. Last I heard, there was about 20 to 30 people on that waiting list. So likely you're not going to be able to get anything in the near term, but maybe a year or 2 years down the line, you'll be able to get something. But if you're looking for short-term rental revenue right out of the gate, I would probably steer away from Frisco as of right now. If short-term rental is a secondary thing for you, the town of Frisco, I think, is one of the coolest towns in Summit County, centrally located. It's pretty much equidistant to all of the ski resorts. It's got a cute little town, just like Breckenridge. And you've got Mount Royal towering above you. So it is absolutely a beautiful mountain town, one of the prettiest, I think, in all of Colorado. But as of right now, short-term rentals are capped, and there is a wait list. Then we move on to Keystone. Keystone is currently transitioning from unincorporated Summit County to Colorado's newest town. Now, the town charter was set, the town members have been voted on, and they pretty much have stated that they have no intention of changing anything for the town of Keystone, meaning that it should stay unrestricted for the future, but there's no telling as to what's going to happen, as the Keystone Town Council is full with Keystone locals, and they might be annoyed by the nuisance of short-term rentals, so anything could change. My guess is, though, is that they're going to keep it unrestricted because that's what generates most of their tax revenue. So right now, you can get a license in Keystone if you're looking for short-term rentals, and I think it's great. Keystone is one of the Most family-friendly resorts in all of the country, and they've got a great golf course. They've got a downhill biking course in the summertime, and then they've got Arapahoe Basin just up the road. So it's great for the big extended family. If you want to just take the kids and the novice skiers, you can take them to Keystone, a lot of greens and blues. And then if you want some really gnarly skiing, you can go right up the road to Arapahoe Basin and get some of the steepest skiing in all of Colorado. And then we've got the Kindred Resort going up right at the base of the gondola. Sotheby's is the lead sales group on that project. So we are happy to help. I think there's about 10 units that are still available right now. So if you're looking for luxury ski in, ski out condo here in Colorado, Kindred is going to be your absolute go-to. It is going to be an insane project. We've got 3 on-site restaurants, a huge conference center, walk to the gondola. I mean, everything you could ever ask for right in Keystone. And you can get a short-term rental license there as well. Montezuma, not a town that I really talk about too much on this channel. It's kind of our small little unknown town just past Keystone. And rentals are not allowed under 180 days. Very much a lot of locals that live there. Montezuma is commonly referred to as mini Alaska because it is above 11,000 feet. Back there, they get tons of snow, and it's really just a dirt road going through town, and there's maybe 50, 60 homes in town of Montezuma. I'm not exactly sure, but there's really not a lot going on there. Anyway, you can't get a short-term rental license there. Now from Montezuma, we're gonna scroll past Summit County and talk about Silverthorne first. Now, Silverthorne is, again, very much like Breckenridge in that it has a couple of different zones in which you can get licenses, but they're capped on the amount of licenses in each zone. Again, very nuanced, but I'll kind of explain it to you here. So the general policy right now, so the town of Silverthorne short-term rentals are capped at 10% of the number of units in the majority of town neighborhoods, otherwise known as Area 1, and 50% of the number of units within the town core and riverfront areas, otherwise known as Area 2. Short-term rentals are not allowed within deed-restricted neighborhoods, Area 3, and there are permits currently available in Areas 1 and 2. So you can get some general information if you click there, but we're going to look at these map of zones so you can understand more of what these are. Okay, so this is the town of Silverthorne, and so I-70, as you can see, right here going east to west, and then you come in here, we've got this yellow area which is known as Area 1. 10% of STRs are allowed in this area. As you can see, it's the majority of the town of Silverthorne. So, and then we're going up to the Willowbrook neighborhood, which is a majority of where the locals live. Just across the Blue River Parkway here, we've got Angler Mountain Ranch Road, which are allowed for short-term rentals, but they have a very special rule in their HOA that it can't be less than 4 days at a time. So it keeps the neighborhood really, really quiet, which is very nice. If you're looking for some upscale living, Angler Mountain Ranch is premier. I just did a really cool home tour at 194 Angler Mountain Ranch Road. Some of the coolest homes that you can find in Silverthorne. And then again, we're gonna go across the highway again. Now we're looking at the Three Peaks neighborhood, which is basically the Raven Golf Course here at Silverthorne. Again, some of the premier homes that Silverthorne has to offer. And then as we go a little bit north, and then finally we have Summit Sky Ranch, which allows for 50% of short-term rentals. Summit Sky Ranch, as you can see, is colored green. So that is Area 2. This is also encompassing condos going along the Blue River here in the downtown area of Silverthorne. Kind of this green area in the center of Silverthorne is what you could consider downtown. So it consists of businesses like the Pad, the Bluebird Market Hall, the Silverthorne Town Center, which consists of cutthroat anglers. That green area, 50% of the residential units, short-term rentals, are allowed in that area. So there are licenses in both the yellow and the green. And then we've got the pink area here. This is Smith Ranch, which is all deed restricted housing, all lottery based. So very tough to get into if you're a local who doesn't make enough money, but you still want housing. That is Area 3, and no short-term rentals are allowed there. whatsoever. So that is the town of Silverthorne. Lastly, we have unincorporated Summit County, which consists of, actually first, let's talk about Copper Mountain, which is technically an unincorporated Summit County, but Copper Mountain is in a resort overlay zone, so it's completely unrestricted in the ability to get short-term rental licenses. So that's very valuable to know. If you like Copper Mountain, you can buy something and you can short-term rent it. Other than that, most of unincorporated Summit County is extremely restrictive on short-term rental licenses. There is a cap that they have set, and they have divided the county into 4 different basins. Every single basin is above the license cap, and there is currently not a wait list available, so there is no telling how long it will be until a short-term rental license becomes available. But as you can see here on the general policy, unlimited STR licenses in Copper Mountain, Keystone, which again is transitioning into its own town, likely going to stay unrestricted on short-term rentals, Tiger Run and 4 o'clock in Sawmill subs in Breckenridge in the resort overlay zone, which we talked about previously. There's a cap on STRs and all other neighborhood residential overlay zones, as I just said, by basin. There's 2 types of permits that you should know about. Type 1 is for locals. So if you own your home full time, you can actually short-term rent your house, meaning when you go on vacation, you can short-term rent your house for the week or whatever, and you're limited to the amount of bookings that you have. I believe it's about 35 bookings per year. And it's great though, because if you own your home full time and you want to subsidize some of your carrying costs like mortgage and HOA, if you own your home full-time, live there full-time, you can rent it while you're on vacation. Very cool. And then the type 2 is just the normal STR license, and there's no new licenses available. And again, no wait list, so there's no telling how long it's going to be. It's very unfortunate that the county and the towns have decided that they can make rules on what you can and can't do with your property. They were of the mindset that the short-term rentals were affecting the housing prices and affecting the housing stock and availability for locals. And we pleaded as realtors and homeowners that had nothing to do with each other. It's just a supply and demand issue. And they didn't listen to us. And sure enough, prices continue to rise in Summit County, and locals still can't afford these homes that are in the millions of dollars. It's unfortunate. I think there's better ways to go about subsidizing housing for locals, but this is what they did. So again, very confusing, no rhyme or reason to it, but I'm here for you guys. So again, text me. I will answer with a video or text you right back, or call me and we can have a discussion about it, and I can walk you through all the nuances here. Okay, now that you guys have a better understanding of how short-term rentals work in Breckenridge and around Summit County, let me share my experience with our short-term rental that we have in Breckenridge. We bought it back in 2017 and we put it on Airbnb about a year later, and it blew our projections out of the water. And so I want to talk about some key points that makes our rentals so desirable for so many people. Number 1, obviously being the location of our Breckenridge condo. We are about a 5-minute walk to downtown Main Street, which is super convenient for those of you who like to go to shops and restaurants and go out for a night on the town. And then we are a 5-minute walk to the Snowflake chairlift, which is kind of this hidden chairlift just up the 4 o'clock run road that not too many people go to. Most of the tourists either go straight to Peak 8 or to the village at Breckenridge or to the gondola just off of Main Street. So we've got great proximity to everything, and we're ski in, ski out. You can ski right into the back of the condo, or you can ski out and go right down to Park Avenue, take the bus, and it'll take you all the way up to the base of Peak 8 if you don't feel like walking. So I think proximity to amenities is definitely going to be the number 1 biggest thing for short-term rental revenue. Second thing is on-site amenities. So we have a sauna and a hot tub. I think a bare minimum, you need at least one of those in your condo complex, which most of these properties, which are located in Zone 1, and the resort zone, which our property is located in, you will most likely have a hot tub or a heated pool or a sauna or a clubhouse of some sort that people can kind of congregate and hang out for a little après ski. So you're definitely gonna have to have one of those, because we constantly get bookings for people who want to enjoy those kinds of amenities. Third thing, which is a little tougher to find, we got really lucky with our condos, is that they're pet friendly. So we get a lot of folks coming up from Denver for a night or two, and they have their dogs with them, and they kind of just want to ski for the day, hang out, and leave their pet at the condo. So our condo allows pets, and it probably accounted for about $9,000 to $10,000 worth of bookings over the last few years. So it's crucial, I think, to differentiate yourself and make your Airbnb stand out, to have it pet friendly. Again, this is all dependent on your HOA rules and regulations. Most complexes do not offer that, unfortunately, but if you can find one that does, it will certainly boost your revenue. Another thing that helps us a lot, and this is mostly on Stephanie's part, is that she's a fantastic host, actually getting the superhost status on Airbnb. So it matters very much who's managing your property. We've got some great property management companies out here, but if you have the ability to manage yourself like we do, you can really maximize on revenue, because we have little tips and tricks through Airbnb that allows us to maximize our exposure and how many bookings we're getting. We're price adjusting almost every other day. For holiday seasons, we could be charging up to $400 to $450 a night on a 1-bedroom condo. And then sometimes if our place isn't booking as much as we like, we just competitively price it, and we get people booking, again, from Denver for the night. And we tend to have about 95 to 97% occupancy, which I know is crazy and unheard of. But again, it goes back to the lack of supply here in Summit County. There's not enough hotels for people to stay at, so they tend to book Airbnbs. And so we've consistently had 300 to 330 nights booked a year, and that's with dates blocked out for friends and family, maintenance, things like that. So likely we could get even higher on those numbers, but this is mainly because we manage it ourselves, and there is a labor of love that is associated with that. Now, when it comes to peak booking times, usually it's going to be our winter ski season. So about January to mid-April, our place is gonna be completely booked. And then most times in the summertime, July to about mid-September, our places are fully booked as well. There seems to be a common theme with our 1-bedroom condos in that March, the entire month of March, we've had people consistently pay the nightly rate for the entire month. And in some cases, we've made over $10,000 in that 1 month for a 1-bedroom. I know, absolutely insane, but it's happened over the last 3 or 4 years. And then we've had people book for the month of August, again, paying that nightly rate and generating about $8,000 to $9,000, a little bit less than ski season, but we've had that for a few years as well. So there are definitely times where people are looking to stay here more often than not. March is great because historically, March is the snowiest month in Colorado. And then August up here is prime summertime. It never gets above 80 degrees, dry weather, always sunny. So people want to come up here to enjoy all of the summer activities. And then the other busy seasons are obviously holidays. If you're planning to use this as a vacation home and a short-term rental, and you're booking on the holidays for yourself, you're going to lose out on a ton of revenue. You take like Christmas week, for example, if you're booking at $400 a night for 5 nights, you could be losing out on $2,000 of revenue if you decide that you want to use it for you and your family. Obviously, every situation is nuanced, but if you're looking for short-term rental revenue as your number one reason for buying something, definitely want to keep the holidays for the guests. And so there you guys have it. That's pretty much your whole overview for short-term rentals here in Summit County. As you can see, properties that are in a prime location with amenities, proximity to downtown or the ski runs, or at least to a bus stop so the bus can take you to the ski run. That is going to be your best revenue getter. If you're serious about buying something here, set up a chat with me. You can either text me or call me and I will answer, and we can set up a time to talk, or feel free to email me as well, and we can get started on this journey of getting you a really awesome investment property. And the great thing about investment properties here in Breckenridge, I've said this many times on all my other videos, but it is supply and demand here. So not only are you getting revenue from short-term rentals, but because of the lack of supply and such high demand for lifestyle here in Summit County, if you hold on to this property for 7 to 10 years or even longer, your property is going to appreciate. So it's a great store hold for your wealth also. So I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I will see you in the next video.